garden editor at Seattle Homes and Lifestyles magazine, starting in '99, and it's a 10-time-a-year glossy shelter magazine in Seattle. Bill was one of the hot photographers for the magazine, but he shot architecture, and I wrote about gardens, and we really never got together, and we didn't even know who each other was other than our bylines or photo credits. And in 2001, I convinced our editor, Fred Albert, to let me do a story about these fanciful backyard sheds that have been, dressed up for sanctuary. And we were so lucky that Marcy Stanford, the art director, somehow decided that Bill should shoot it because of his expertise shooting interiors and architecture and portraits. And we ended up meeting, photographing and documenting and writing about a wonderful shed in Seattle owned by a woman named Sunny Rudd. And then she's actually in our book. She was sort of our little angel that got us started, so we had to include her in the book. But it became the beginning of a mutual fascination. As creators, we are used to taking assignments and cranking out words and pictures that other people want, and we realized that wherever this went, we wanted to start documenting beautiful garden sheds. The idea of horticulture and architecture intersecting in the garden really appealed to us both. So as it turns out, once something's on your radar, you start seeing it everywhere, and sheds just kept presenting themselves to us. And we also, at the time, were working a lot for a Romantic Homes magazine, so we created a couple great stories with sheds. I think we had done about 4 articles. They were garden stories, garden design stories, but always there was an element of a freestanding, beautiful piece of architecture that was used by the homeowner, maybe once for a potting shed, but now became kind of an escape, an office, a studio, a little sanctuary. And we looked at each other and said, we've got a book. So I'll let Bill go from there.
Very often photographer-writer relationships start with editorial work. It's a very good way to get to know some writers. You collaborate on magazine assignments, and you find you like working together, and you do more and more projects together, and then you say, let's do a book. And 1 or 2 of you might have a connection with the publisher, and then if you know some writers, and then through the magazines and both your professional lives, graphic designers, because you really need at some point a graphic designer, a writer, and a photographer, and then you can go from there. So all right, here we go. We have our PowerPoint show at last. You're on the road with Debra and Bill, and Debra obviously got you started on that. Thanks for your patience. So we just thought we'd start you with some of the images.